So this wasn't for a lead gen. This is for my agency. So I don't even know how it happened, but the number was incorrect. So I tried various times to update the phone number that I had listed there. It just never changed. It kept on like saying, no, we couldn't verify it. Then I was like, oh, my website doesn't have the correct phone number that I'm trying to update to. So, okay, when I did that. And then I just got like a soft suspension, and it just asked me to, you know, send the postcard again. So I contacted, it was like me that went to them and said, hey, I'm not sure why I just can't update my number. Now I got this soft suspension. Well, I didn't say the word soft, but, and then they reached out to me and said, hey, congratulations, looks like you qualify for a different kind of verification. We could do video. And then that was the email. And then I had to schedule it.
Did they give you the option to do video, or they said, like, you have to do this?
The email was pretty much saying, like, this is the other way you can verify. So I could have still gone through the whole postcard, because I had to go in there and schedule the video verification. And I think I waited like 4 or 5 days before I did it. Once I scheduled it, the email does says you use your phone. I also had my address on there, public, like visible. So the email probably by default said, hey, show a sign with your name of your business. So they kind of tell you and ask you what they are looking for. I can upload the email too. I don't know if that's beneficial to everybody, so you guys can kind of see what they asked for. But
yeah, do it, because it would be interesting to see. And for you other guys that have dealt with this, I would want to know, is there different versions of this, or is it just like, hey, this is blanketed what they're going to ask for every time, you know?
Yeah, and it was interesting. So I was like, so they were like, you pick the time pretty much. I emailed them back, tell them, hey, when I want the meeting. And I give them 2 dates, 2 times. And they were like, okay, boom, you're scheduled. Make sure you have Google Meet, download it on your phone, because you are going to use your phone. Once I hopped on, they didn't show their face, and I had to show my face. And then she immediately asked me about the sign. And I said, well, I don't, you know, my customer doesn't come to me. I go to my customer. Like, okay. Then do you have an invoice? Right. So I'm like, shoot. And then I just started my partnership with my boyfriend. So I haven't transitioned to that quite yet. So I still have from my old name of my business. So I'm like, shoot. So then I was like, wait, I have a contract. What, does that work? And then she's like, yeah, okay. So I send her a contract. Now this contract, granted, remember what we do. I do GMB ranking services. Like, I don't do the SEO stuff, but I kind of do a little bit what Spencer does, where, hey, I try to lead them through the GMB ranking and whatnot, and then I can do the lead gen for them if it qualifies, right? So I ended up sending, so you have to email it to them. They don't want to see, you know, you don't show them your screen, nothing like that. They want you to respond to the email where you scheduled the call, right? And you email them a document. And then she says to me, hey, okay, it's going to take about 24 to 48 hours for it to go live. Few hours, I got notification and email saying, hey, congratulations, your listing's back up. And that was it. And it was so like direct. It was like, nope, I just need to see your name of your business on a legal document. So it was either an invoice, or if you have a DBA or a license, anything like that. As soon as she saw that, she was like, okay. Because I think you're right, Pat. I think there's so many other people out there that are doing way scammier stuff when it comes to the listing, that they just want to make sure you're a real business.
Right.
So when it comes to the lead gen, that's why I was like, you know, maybe get in the habit of creating like contracts for that lead gen, and put in the name of your business, and get in a DBA if you can, you know, so you don't even have to do the video verification, but at least you have documentation to back it up and secure your lead gen, because it is a business, right? It is a real business that you're doing.
Right. So theoretically, for our lead gens, one could potentially print off an invoice that has the name of their lead gen on there and mail that over as a part of this video verification. So you said that you had to sign into an application to have the call. That was like Google, what was it?
Yeah, the Google Meet, like G Suite has that. Typically already comes with it. That's how I kind of do my meetings instead of like Zoom. And you just download it on your phone, and that's it.
I just wonder if they're using any type of, do you have an iPhone?
I do not, but I will say that I know what you're talking about. Are you going to talk about location? If they're probably trying to match the location, that's the only thing. So with the lead gen, I was thinking, I'm like, do you have somebody in that area to do it if that calls for it? The same person that verifies it, but then I don't know.
You could, I mean, you could, I've heard that there are applications you can put on your phone that will like change your location. And I'm just wondering like how that works with this. You know, like with VPNs, it's pretty easy for people to detect that a VPN is being used. They can't tell where you are. So I always kind of use that analogy. It's like, hey, this person has a mask on. I don't know who they are, but I can tell they have a mask on, right? So that's kind of like how VPNs are when Google is looking at this stuff. I don't know how that applies to this application and the like the phone stuff, but I imagine that you could pretty easily get around that location thing if that were the case. It'd be interesting to test it, be in the wrong location and just say, like, try it out and see if they reject it and say, okay, you're, yeah, that'd be really valuable.
I also want to know, I'm sorry, Pat. I also want to know, she kept on saying the name of my business. Like she didn't ask, like the documents I sent had no address on it, actually. I don't think so. I don't think I had an address on it.
Okay.
So that's interesting too, because don't you want to verify not only the name of my business, but hey, that the name of my business is the actual location of that listing since it's local?
Almost like they were just trying to see if the business was real, not really where it was located, right?
I think so.
Did they require in the body of the email, did they say make sure you're at the location of the business or anything of that nature?
You know what? Let me go ahead and
because I'm kind of curious if, I mean, like if they don't state that in the email, like you're a service-based business, let's just say an HVAC company or whatever it is, like how would a person know they needed to be there? Like if they just get an email, oh, I'm sorry, I'm heading to an appointment right now to, you know, I didn't realize I needed to be at my place, and because I think that's kind of a silly requirement. But I mean, unless they state that, I mean, Patrick is right. They could be pulling some GPS location.
Well, remember too that initially my listing had the address of my home office. So that's the reason I think that email came out. Hey, let's show me a sign, show me something that shows the name of your business outside of the building. Like I'm pulling up the email now, but I'm assuming if it's service-based and you don't have your address out there, maybe it's a different email and they'll require, hey, just show me documents, whatnot. It seems like a defaulted, like it was like immediate automatic kind of email.
So all the communication happened through the Gmail account that's associated with the GMB, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you weren't going back and forth through like some like agency branded email account either.
No, it was my agency. It's my agency email.
Right, but it was like, so it was like at generisagency.com. Is that the email you were using, or was it like?
No, I used my actual like info@myagency.com.
Okay, so you weren't using the email address that's associated with the GMB, where it's like, we create this like, whatever, generisagency@gmail.com, right, to set up our GMB for your agency. Like that's the typical. That's not where the communication took place. It took place on the branded agency email address, right? Correct. So that might be another sign of proof, which you guys, if some of you guys, I know that you're paying for, like you're paying G Suite to get this like branded email address. You don't need to do that, right? Like every host will allow you to set up like unlimited email accounts branded for free. So what we do in our agency is we always make the info at whatever the domain is, and then we forward all those to one account, and then we have somebody that goes through and checks those and make sure. And this is important too, because with your GMBs, we've lost a few. We didn't have this process in place at one point where if you don't log into the account for a while, because we have it in the CRM, right? So we can kind of like monitor the changes, but we're not actually logging into the Gmail account. So they'll send an email out that says, hey, this email is going to get shut down if you don't log into it. And you need to make sure that you get that. So we're like forwarding this stuff all to one account, and then we have somebody go through and check. And then when we get that, I think they give you like a week or 2 weeks or something to log in after they send that to you. Then we know, hey, we're going to go log into this and make sure that everything's cool.
So Patrick, can I ask a follow-up question there?
Yeah.
So let's just say you're using SiteGround or whoever you are for hosting. You can create the domain-based email there. Do you then invite that email to be a co-owner or manager of the GMB, plus you have some generic or aged Gmail as the primary owner? Or what's that relationship like? Does that make sense?
So generally we are putting that domain email address on our actual website as because you'll get these quotes, except if you guys don't have an email address on your website, you should add it, because what's going to happen is these big quotes where requests for bids, they're not going to be able to put this stuff into a form submission. And a lot of them will just pass you over. So a lot of times bigger job opportunities will go through that. So we put that on every account, and then we forward that one to one. Separately, we'll set up GMBs on each different Gmail account. You should have all your GMBs should be on a separate Gmail account, right? So we take and we forward all of those. I don't know if it's the same email address, and we just have someone on our team is going through and checking and looking for issues, right? So we're looking for, I would actually recommend to separate those out and say hey, these are the leads that could come through here, and this is the forwarding of all the Gmails. So that you need to monitor that and make sure that you're logging into these accounts. So does that explain it, Will?
Mostly I guess the only question I had was that domain email that you create, is that ever invited to the GMB?
Okay. We don't do it that way. There may be some benefits to that. We haven't done it that way. I could see where Google could maybe imply some additional trust if you've got this branded email account that's associated with the GMB, but we haven't done it that way. And you could potentially create a footprint. If let's say you've got 6 GMBs, and then this one info at your domain is associated with all 6 of those. Now there's a bridge. Yeah. So
yeah, good point. Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying.
Just real quick, Patrick, Will mentioned earlier or in the chat that, you could say that you're in the back office or whatever, but I think that's a good point that so many people are working remotely now due to everything that's happened the last couple of years. It's normal. And if we just normalize that when we're on the phone with them and be oh yeah, of course we're not in the office. Why would I be in the office? Maybe that's
you could simply be look, I've grown this company. I've got a crew of people. I'm in Mexico right now. I'm hanging out with my friends. Why would I be there? The way I've set this company up, I can work anywhere. And then see, I think it would be really good to test the waters and say, if they say, well, I'm sorry, you can't do this, and but you need to make them say that before you assume that that's the case, because everything gets way easier if that's not the case. And I think from the beginning, people are assuming that we have to be in this location, and then you got to really understand the rules here on what this is before we try to build the strategy to deal with those rules, right?
I wanted to add actually, because now I'm looking at the email, and I forgot, she also had me show her my workstation pretty much. And because I said it's an agency, obviously, and I said I work from home, she said, can I just see your desktop? And I just did this before then. I put my logo on behind my desktop, as a screensaver, just in case. And then I just kind of quickly showed her. It was really quick. She just wanted to see it, and that's it. And this was done. Secondly, I'm reading this, and I guess I missed it, but it says to join the video call on your computer or mobile device that you plan to use for the video call, and it says install Google Meet. So if you don't have Google Meet on your laptop or your phone, then you install it. I must have skipped the computer. So it looks like you can do either or. And then it says you got to register your Google account with Meet. So you would use that email of your lead gen or whatever it is, right, to register that Google Meet. So you got to be very careful with that you're not signed into all these other Gmail accounts, and you're only signed into the actual account where the GMB needs to get verified, right?
Yeah.
And then it does talk about if you use a vehicle to get to customers, you can show us the license plate of your registered motor vehicle and your business logo on the vehicle. So that's another way in the contractor space, right? If you you know, quickly put a sign up, I guess, and show that. And then another thing they asked for was, yeah, so if you service your customers at your site, you can show us the tools and instruments that you use to work with customers. So in my case, that's why she asked probably for my computers, like my workstation, because that's what she said, can I see your desktop? And I just showed her that. So
this could get more complicated if it wasn't for an agency then, essentially.
possibly.
And it also, it could, like, it's also good to know that you have the opportunity to do this on a computer. So the way that you may get around it is, like, if you're doing it on a computer, don't be signed into a VPN, but be signed into like a proxy. Proxies are completely different than VPNs, and that would be a way that you could potentially change the perception of where you are.
Yeah. And then at the bottom, lastly, and I'll let this be, is for other verification options you can learn more about, and it has a link to other ways to verify. So you can still get, you know, the postcard, I assume. You don't have to go through the video verification, but, you know, I don't know if you miss, you know, lose the mail you use, or I don't know how that would work for people.
Right. And I mean, what's the expectation on the technology level of these? Like, let's say it's a plumber who's just like running his own company. Is he going to have a webcam and like all this other stuff? Like, hey, I've got a flip phone, right? What, I can't have a plumbing company. There has to be a way, and that could be, I think my point is that it seems like it's not nearly as scary as it originally seemed to be, with like this information combined with the fact that you can just click that button and choose another one. Between all these different variables, it seems like there's always going to be a way to get verified in the current version that they have it.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're just trying to scare the scammy people out, to be honest, because they're not going to get on a call. They're not going to do the video. So just it's going to scare them.